this point, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our commencement speaker for 2009. A former colleague of mine at the National Institutes of Health and a physician-scientist of considerable renown, Elizabeth Nabel has contributed vastly to our knowledge of how heart disease develops, and importantly, knowledge that led to novel therapies for actually treating cardiovascular disease. As director of the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, she oversees a staff of approximately 850 federal employees. And don't ever make the mistake of calling them bureaucrats. They remind you of what Senator Arlen Specter always said at NIH appropriations hearing. The NIH, the National Institutes of Health, is the crown jewel, some say the only jewel in the crown of the federal government. Dr. Nabel's institute supports studies and provides funding for all of the disorders that relate to the organs featured in her institute's name, as well as for sleep disorders. During your time at Einstein, some of you have heard me talk a lot about translational medicine. Dr. Nabel has championed that concept from bench to bedside and back. I'm sure she will share with you how the research advances of our PhD and MD PhD graduates will enrich the clinical practices of our MD graduates, fostering collaboration and creativity that can potentially benefit countless individuals. Dr. Nabel received her medical degree from Cornell University, completed her internship and residency at Harvard's Brigham and Women's Hospital, where she also did a clinical and research fellowship in cardiovascular medicine. She then joined the faculty at the University of Michigan, where she attained distinction for her work in vascular biology and molecular pharmacology, eventually leading the cardiology division. She was recruited to the NIH in 1999 and appointed director of the Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute in 2005. Our nation is fortunate to have a physician scientist of her quality and distinction at the helm of this important institute. She's a recipient of numerous awards, widely sought as an editor for prestigious journals, committee member on important policy-making organizations, and a speaker at a variety of events, including the Einstein Commencement. It is my honor to have Dr. Nabel join us at this time and present her talk. Thank you.
Well, good morning, President Joel, my good friend and colleague, Dean Siegel, members of the faculty, board of trustees, alumni, distinguished guests, parents, and friends. It's with great honor and pride that I join you today in this distinguished venue to celebrate the achievements of you, the class of 2009 of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine at Yeshiva University. It's especially meaningful for me to be here today in Avery Fisher Hall because I sat just where you are 28 years ago at my own medical school graduation from Cornell. In fact, I remember being 4 rows back and 5 seats in. It was a transforming event in my life, and I hope this day is for you as well. So to the new physicians and researchers in the class of 2009, we offer our most sincere congratulations. Today, I also want to acknowledge another very special group of people. They are the 50 physicians from the class of 1959 Extraordinary. I'm very pleased to say that I know one of them, our earlier speaker, Dr. Alidor. And Dr. Alidor, I don't know if you recall, but we met back in 1979. When, as a second-year medical student at Cornell, I was doing a hemophilia project with your colleague, the now-deceased Dr. Margaret Hillgardner. And if I could take a minute, Dr. Hillgardner was an extraordinary pediatric hematologist, very devoted to the field of hemophilia. And I worked with her when I was a second-year student for 2 reasons. One, she was one of the few faculty at Cornell at the time. I knew she had 3 children. Her husband was a practicing pediatrician in New Jersey. And as a young woman, I simply wanted to understand how another woman had a successful career in medicine and balanced work and family. She was an extraordinary role model. The other piece, the reason why I worked with her, is because she did clinical research. At that time, we were doing a clinical study on the effects of home care treatment, reconstituted factor VIII, and the effect of thwarting early bleeds, particularly in the joints of young men with hemophilia. And the first paper that I published was with Dr. Hilgardner back in 1979. So Dr. Alroyd, it's a pleasure to see you again today, and I extend my greetings to you. Today we celebrate 250 new graduate degrees. You are 181 new MDs, 59 new PhDs, 14 who have earned both, and 10 new clinical research master degree recipients. All told, that's over 1,000 years worth of work, which is pretty remarkable. Each of you has worked very hard to reach this day. Bask in the sunshine of your achievements and the warmth of your friendships you've developed on this journey. You and your families have made many sacrifices to get to this special date and place. Your families are very proud of you and what you've accomplished, and they see your future success on the horizon. So please join me in thanking your family and friends for supporting you. Some of you are the first in your families to attend college. Many of you are the first to go on to medical school. Some of you have had full-time jobs as parents or caregivers, and you've learned firsthand the real-world definition of multitasking. The challenges you've all faced have been far and wide, and your paths have all been different. But today, our cause for celebration is not your differences, but your commonality. The one thing you all share. You all have pledged to serve humankind by promoting good health. Class of 2009, think of yourselves now 10, 20, and 50 years from now. At that time, you will be cherishing many special memories from this landmark period of your life, just as I'm sure the class of 1959 is. You'll be remembering relaxing with some good eats at the Bronx, Little Italy right here in the neighborhood, not the Arthur Avenue Little Italy imposter, I'm told. I hear you've been trading war stories at Gleason's Bar. Some of you may have cheered for the Yankees. I remember I was a devout Yankees fan before I moved to Boston back in the 70s. Ooh. Now I guess I cheer for the Washington Nationals, but to be quite honest, there's not much to cheer about. So. But you may have cheered for the Mets or the Giants or the Jets or one of the other sports teams. Or you may have had an opportunity just to relax and unwind a bit after a week of tension in the tranquility and splendor of the New York Botanical Garden. But don't ever forget the joy and the fun and the celebrations you've had with your friends as you've gone through these years. Albert Einstein College of Medicine has a proud tradition of blending clinical care and research, and it's a culture that maintains such a strong humanitarian ethos. I really love the new slogan, science at the heart of medicine. As a cardiologist, I particularly like the metaphor. I see Dr. Mishner here, but it really does capture what you all are about. Since the very beginning, Einstein has been open to students of all backgrounds. And this was a condition imposed by your namesake, the brilliant physicist and compassionate humanitarian. Yours is a richly diverse group of individuals drawn from 16 states across the nation. One in five, was born outside the United States. From Colombia to Japan to Trinidad and Tobago, and just about everywhere in between. You should be proud of those heritages. And over half of you speak one of 23 different foreign languages. It's really remarkable. And 57% of you are female. We're very fortunate to have in the... Congrats. We're very fortunate in the audience today to have Dr. Evelyn Albrecht-Schwaber, one of only 3 women in the first graduating class of 50 students. I had an opportunity to read some of Dr. Schwaber's remembrances for this 50th anniversary occasion, and I was struck by what a pioneer your school was from the very beginning. Dr. Schwaber writes that during her medical school years, and I quote, "Einstein's expectations for excellence and for humaneness, respect for one's personhood, was entirely egalitarian." Sometimes today we all take for granted the remarkable gains our society has made towards gender, ethnic, and religious equality. But let's recognize the foresight your founders had in these matters. And for that, you all should be extraordinarily proud. Now, let's look forward a bit. What does your future hold? I must say I share Dr. Spiegel's enthusiasm, as this undoubtedly is one of the most exciting times to be launching a medical career. Look what the revolution in science and technology has already given us. Sequencing the human genome is now helping us to unravel the genetics of heart disease, stroke, cancer, and diabetes. And I must say, as director of the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, it's given me enormous pride over the past several years to fund research now exploring the application of the Human Genome Project so that we can better understand the genetic causes of heart, lung, and blood diseases. It seems like each week we have new data that gets us much closer to the day when we can actually screen individuals accurately for disease risk. Learn very early on who's predisposed to which illnesses and why, so that we can intervene early with preventive measures, and we can hopefully prevent symptoms from ever occurring. Thanks to biotechnology and our new understanding of the vastly complicated frontiers of the brain and the immune system, we're closing in on treatments for neurodegenerative disorders that rob us of family and friends, and we're getting nearer to finding vaccines for HIV, AIDS, malaria, and TB. The rate of progress is extraordinary, and you have an opportunity not only to participate, but to contribute and lead in very meaningful ways. You will begin your residencies next month, probably with equal doses of excitement and anxiety. Many of you will find it exhilarating, but a little awkward to be called doctor. You will get on with life and all the responsibility that it brings. You will learn vast amounts about medicine. You will learn vast amounts about humankind, what makes people tick, how they think, how they respond to the stresses of illness, and you will learn a lot about their social networks. But also wonderful things can happen to you along the way. I happen to have met my husband during my internal medicine training. My husband was my intern. I was his resident on the General Medical Service. He happened to have the dare to ask me out for a date, but it was over a patient diagnosis. I thought the individual just had chronic pancreatitis, but no, he had to show off a bit, and he thought the patient had selective Budd-Chiari syndrome. That's an esoteric diagnosis that means one of the veins to the liver has a blood clot in it. He set up the date that no matter what the diagnosis, we ended up going out, which we did. He had the chutzpah to do that. And we just celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary last week. Oh, thank you. So wonderful things can come of your training. And don't ever forget to lose the perspective that your family is always just as important as your work. Your family and your friends. Don't forget that. So what is the common thread, then, to all the roles your life as a doctor will introduce? The answer, of course, is people, your patients. You've chosen a profession that is so much more than a job or a career. It's a noble calling of the highest order, and don't ever forget that. It's a commitment to keeping people first, your patients first, their families first in everything you do. This is as true today as when Hippocrates penned that famous oath. The person, your patient, is the center of all medicine. And due to the extraordinary research progress that we've made, the dawn of personalized medicine is nearly here. It will be your commitment to find for your patient the right treatment, delivered in the right setting, and at the right time. You must be your patient's advocate. Yes, some of personalized medicine will be about genomics and using customized biological therapeutics and very sophisticated technologies. But really, the goal of personalized medicine is much more than that. For it's really about making good choices, the right choices for your patients, engaging your patients in their own care, finding out what cultural factors will help a teenager stay healthy for the rest of their life. It's about understanding and listening to your patients and their family and putting them first. But your time at Einstein has readied you for this. Among the school's pioneering educational initiatives is bringing first-year students into contact with patients and linking classroom study to case experiences. You have a faculty deeply committed to teaching the art of basic clinical skills, and it is an art that requires patience, practice, and attention throughout your medical life. Your commitment to being an advocate for your patients, to recognizing that what you do as a physician is a calling of the highest order, and to putting people first will be the keystone of your success as a doctor and as a researcher. And it will frame the opportunities and challenges that you will face during your career, many of which will extend far beyond the art and the science that you practice, whatever that might be. Some of you will care for the very young or for the very old. Hopefully, many of you will find a way to use all those foreign language skills to communicate with the rich diversity of individuals that you will meet and take care of in the coming years. Some of you will work tirelessly to bring health care to those who cannot afford it. Some of you will choose careers that will take you abroad to work with communities very different from our own. And some of you will make your mark doing research. And remember that that research is always in service of your fellow humankind. One of the most exciting programs that I've had to initiate as director of the NHLBI is our Global Health Initiative. We are now partnering with national research funding agencies in China, India, Australia, Canada, and the UK to focus on the prevention and treatment of chronic diseases such as heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and chronic lung disease. And next week, we will be launching a new partnership with the United Health Group, the largest health insurer in the United States, to support 11 centers of excellence in research, training, and healthcare delivery around the world. Sites in China, India, Bangladesh, Kenya, South America, Tanzania, Argentina, Peru, Guatemala, Tunisia, and the U.S.-Mexican border. I hope that someday some of you will join us in these research and training programs. And that's why I was very delighted to hear about your colleague, Mark Golden, who journeyed to Beijing, China, for a global health fellowship. There he did genetic and epidemiological research on HIV infection at the Chinese Academy of Medical Sciences and at Peking Union Medical College. During the 2 months that he was in China, Mark's work contributed to learning about how the virus is spread from high-risk groups to the general population. He also participated in a study looking at sequence data to assess the prevalence of HIV resistance to various anti-HIV treatment regimens. Again, living out the school's vision, science in the service of medicine. I recently spent 2 weeks in China visiting with major leaders at national centers in Shanghai and Beijing, as well as with public health officials, including at the Chinese Academy of Medical Sciences. And I can tell you firsthand that our global medical community is indeed global, and that our partners in China and many other countries are open, eager, and very willing to work with us on these difficult issues. Einstein has a long and proud history, and all of you have been amidst this environment of discovery through your time here. And I encourage you to keep learning through your residencies and throughout your career. It's vital that you continue to learn the basic principles of translational and clinical research, and that's why your schooling here has been so special. Louis Pasteur's famous words are really true. Chance favors the prepared mind. You need to be ready for what comes at you. So prepare yourself to embrace new opportunities that will come your way, often unexpectedly. At the NHLBI, I've had a number of unexpected opportunities and learned that one simply has to grasp them and go forward. I've been very lucky to have been immersed in the world of research every day because science is truly a passion for me, science that can get translated to improve the life of others. But I've also, in this role, had the pleasure of helping people by leading several public awareness campaigns that reach millions of Americans. One of these targets women and heart disease. It's called our Heart Truth campaign. As many of you know, heart disease is the #1 killer of women in this country, even though we haven't recognized it as such. And we created the red dress as a symbol of heart disease in women. My interest, my passion for this really comes from the lessons that I learned from one of my patients when I practiced cardiology at the University of Michigan. And let me introduce you to this woman who shaped my career. Anne developed type 1 diabetes in 1952 when she was only 7 years old. Insulin was available only on an experimental basis then, but Anne's loving mother, who was a nurse, brought her to the Joslin Clinic in Boston, where she could receive state-of-the-art treatment. Over the years, Anne was able to take meticulous care of her diabetes, largely through the extraordinary devotion and support of her mother. I met Anne in 1990 when she came to the hospital with a second life-threatening illness, heart disease. Anne's father and brother had both died of heart attacks in their late 40s, and Anne had a heart attack herself at age 45, undoubtedly due in part to a genetic factor. We performed an angioplasty. She survived, but she went on ultimately to require bypass surgery. And as I got to know Anne and her mother, I learned many lessons. Yes, heart disease can strike a woman at any age, and we do need to get that message out. But also, I was inspired by the confidence of Anne and her mother that they could meet this challenge or any other challenge head-on and overcome it. And so Anne has. She is now 64, having lived 57 years with type 1 diabetes and 17 years post-bypass surgery. She's doing extremely well with a minimum of kidney and eye disease. And her belief that she was equal to any challenge taught me a profound lesson that I would have never learned in the classroom. The commitment you're making today by becoming a physician, a scientist, or both is not just about upholding ethical standards for treating individual people like the Annes of the world, but also your promise to make ours a society in which the very best of medical science is used in the service of all humankind. The value of basic research that fuels medical progress cannot be underestimated. One of your colleagues receiving a PhD today is a terrific example. Abraham Guerrero, who worked in the laboratory of faculty member Dr. Bettina Fries, studying the pathogenesis of Cryptococcus neoformans, a threat to immunocompromised people. I learned that Abraham is the first in his family to complete a higher education degree, and that he has dedicated his thesis to all his teachers and his mentors. He's already giving back, sharing his love of science with middle schoolers in the Bronx, and staying active in the recruitment of minorities to medicine and science. Good luck, Abraham, to you, wherever you are. Good luck to you as you continue your work at the Hutch Cancer Center in Seattle. It's vital that we continue to invest significantly in the medical research the NIH supports here and at institutions across the nation. You will be part of this effort, whether your primary role is keeping abreast of the latest advances in genomics, imaging, clinical informatics, or many of the other cutting-edge technologies and applying them to the care of your patients. Whether you're engaging your patients and colleagues in clinical research, or whether you're finding the thrill of discovery in the lab, like Abraham, Mark, and others, delving into fundamental research questions. There are also many opportunities to bring people of all ages of your community into the research process. For example, in 2006, Einstein became the only medical institution in New York City, New York State, and the entire Northeast to serve as a research site for our NHLBI Hispanic Community Health Study, the largest research study of Hispanic health ever. And I'm very proud to say that as the NHLBI supporter, we're extremely proud of you and what that study has accomplished to date. Through this effort, Einstein researchers are helping us look at the prevalence and development of heart disease and other diseases in Hispanics, Latinos, and risk factors that we can use for disease prevention. It's incredibly important work. Your school was also the only New York City institution selected to participate in my institute's landmark Women's Health Initiative. The results of this research, while at times difficult to interpret, perhaps have had an enormous impact on women's health. And so it's clear that Einstein knows how to put people first in its community. I'm so pleased to learn of the efforts going on here with respect to programs like the Einstein Community Health Outreach, or ECHO, free clinic. It's wonderful that programs like ECHO begun only 10 years ago. The first ever student-coordinated community health clinic in the state provides medical care, health education, and social services to the uninsured in the South Bronx and neighboring communities. It's through these collaborative efforts that we need to listen to people, understand their needs, find out what's going to be effective and practical in our growingly complex and diverse world. Nowhere does one size fits all apply when it comes to modern medical care. And we also recognize that our social neighborhood has grown so much. We are part of a global community, and your job is to contribute in any way you can. I was also inspired by Monica Piari's story. Before reaching the age of 10, Monica knew that she wanted to be a doctor, having 2 younger brothers and full-length leg casts for long periods of time due to a rare disorder. In honor of her father, who succumbed to aortic stenosis at age 44, Monica established La Fundación Juan José Piaris Bustos, I apologize for mispronunciation, to help provide care in her native Colombia. Last year, she organized the foundation's first health fair for the residents of Garzazamba, Colombia. There, she gathered a team of physicians who provided free screenings, medical exams, general health and nutrition education, and she says, many people have never seen a doctor. One man who hadn't been seen by any medical professional for over 15 years was overjoyed to put on a new pair of glasses. His first request was to read the newspaper, Monica says. So congratulations to you and your efforts. Monica here. And your colleague, Victoria Costales, who's done several global health fellowships during her 4 years here, traveling to the Philippines, Honduras, and just this March to Uganda. There she worked with Einstein faculty member Dr. Passioni in the program he has established in Uganda. With the help of Einstein medical students, Dr. Passioni has developed an inexpensive yet effective approach to identify women at risk for cervical cancer, the leading cancer killer among Ugandan women. So these initiatives, whether in China, Colombia, Uganda, or here in the Bronx, are showing us the value of putting people, our patients, first. It's a reminder of what it means to engage in this noble profession, that is to comfort and to heal. So class of 2009, congratulations. From here on, we are relying on your smarts, your competence, your diligence, and above all, your compassion. Many of you will be taking care of us baby boomers, and boy, do we need you. And we're also relying on your voice. Speak out to ensure that what you know, what you see, what you experience cannot be ignored as our nation and our world debates what directions we take. You are indeed tomorrow's leaders. I'm confident that by keeping people first, your patients first, you will always make the right decisions and you will lead the life of integrity embodied in the Hippocratic Oath. Congratulations, good luck, and Godspeed to all of you.